TorahCafe.com.
What's your name?
Mark Hoffman.
Now it's all over Facebook. So what kind of work do you really do?
I own a small manufacturing company.
And when did you meet your rabbi?
2005.
Okay. What was the one thing that we said, that's why I want to connect with him? Was it the black label?
I think it was that he was genuine and willing to help me learn.
Help you learn. Very good. I like that. So you want to have personal growth. Did you belong to another temple prior to meeting him?
Not technically, no.
I was thinking, we didn't steal one of those members from someone else. Yeah, let the record be smoking.
Although also we shopped around and weren't satisfied.
You have many barbecues, but there's nothing like that barbecue chef sitting right over there. What's your rabbi's name?
Raleigh Resnick.
Give it up for Raleigh. What is Chabad to you?
I think Chabad is genuine Judaism for anyone who's on a journey and meeting them in their place.
There you go. Woo. I love you. Now, some of you are real estate agents, and Sunday is the big real estate because, since you met Chabad, you can't do it on Shabbat. So then Sunday is your only day to do it. So there's got to be a real estate agent here. Who's a real estate agent here? Raise your hand. What's your name?
Jack.
Jack, take a mic right there. Come and take the mic right there. Where are you from?
From Luxembourg.
Luxembourg.
Europe.
How's the real estate market there?
Gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Lots of opportunity. It's really, you can't
They're giving you not black label, it's blue label. You met your rabbi. Is that your rabbi?
No.
Who's your rabbi here?
It's Mendel.
Oh. You got a special rabbi. Tell me the one thing that you love about your rabbi. Of course the best. He'll argue with you. And he'll argue with you. And my wife will also. So, real quick, tell us one thing that attracted you to your rabbi.
Well, is really someone special. He loved people. He tried always to help everybody, to help the community to be better involved in Judaism. Not really with big talk and big events, but he prepared lots of things like sukkah and many things. Always, every week's having
See, he gets
Chabad.
his hands dirty and he works in the community.
Correct.
That is fantastic. Welcome to, is this your first time here?
I'm here for
the convention?
convention.
Give it up for them.
Thank you. Thank you for the privilege.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I love you guys. I'll tell you what, sit down for a second. Let me tell you why I love you guys. You want to know something? I've been a guy out there for 29 years. And when I moved out to Bel Air, everybody goes, oh, Bel Air must have a lot of money. Yeah, there is a lot of money in Bel Air, but that doesn't mean it comes to the guy that looks like the next guy. You know? Each and every one of your rabbis could be the next candidate on Duck Dynasty. See, you don't know what that meant. Every American does. And all of a sudden, they're not going to come over to me and they say to me, oh, I'm going to go throw money at you. So the fact that you believe in us, remember, just like your rabbi, I was a kid, 25 years old, 26 years old when I came out to my place. You guys are doctors, lawyers. You put your money into investments. You go and you really care what you do with your money. I'm a 25-year-old kid, doesn't even know what it meant to go and balance a book. Did you notice your rabbi still hasn't figured that one out yet after 8 years? But it's you guys that really made us to believe in you. As much as you believed in us, the greatness of what you guys are is that you guys turned to us and made us the spectacular people that are in your lives. We'll get to that more much later. Is anybody that has any American real estate? Is here? Yeah? Is there a guy by the name of Ishai here? Ishai? You see, he's still drinking. He's a Boston Red Sox fan. Yeah. You're laughing. What's your name?
Robert.
Go up to the microphone. Equal opportunity insulter you're going to get here. So, Robert.
By the way, I'm a Red Sox and Patriots fan.
Okay, we Chabad have a lot of patience for tshuva. Who's your rabbi?
Shalom Shmuel.
Oh, Shalom.
Dennis Flora.
Oh, no, you got a great rabbi. Seriously.
Like everyone else, I have the best.
What is the number one program that you like that he does for your Chabad house?
I mean, there are so many. Actually, it's not an answer to what, it's not the answer to your question, but the number one thing is the tenacity, just constantly rolling up your sleeves, being out in the community, in the face of objections, always with a happy face and in a non-judgmental way, making every Jew feeling good that they're a Jew.
Where were you 10 years ago?
10 years ago, I was practicing real estate law in Providence, Rhode Island.
My mother grew up in Woonsocket.
Woonsocket.
That is a wasteland of Judaism, and I know where you were.
Yeah.
So out of nowhere, the rabbi just bumped into him. You bumped into him. Where did you meet him?
Well, he knocked on my door. Yeah. He knocked on my door in Florida. And
In Florida?
In Florida, Yossi Laffer from Warwick, Rhode Island.
Yes.
Called him up, and I said, I got this lawyer who's coming down here and got retired, and you should contact him. And he walked to my house, and he saw some scotch, and he said, let's make a l'chaim. And I said, you're my kind of rabbi.
I want you to know that the entire world talks about AA. Seriously. But we are AAA rated. Thank you for joining me. Now, I'm just going to put a question out there. I want you to think about it. It doesn't have to be right now. Okay, I'll give you some time to think about it. Each and every one of you have that one program that's at your Chabad house that some of you say, I support that one. I'm the one that goes and makes sure that it happens, or you love going to it. I want to know the number one. So, rabbis, start giving, you want to plug, well, listen, we got the cameras in, you know what I'm saying? If you want to plug one of your best programs that you love doing, I want your guy telling each and every one of you, telling us what is the number one program that's in your place. But before I get to that, I want to tell you one of the things that I love doing more than anything else. I love the holiday of Hanukkah. First of all, in Bel Air, the weather is fantastic. You never have to worry about snow. You'll hardly ever have to worry about rain. And living up in the mountains, it really dips down to a freezing 47 degrees, the coldest. So all the people that are in Bel Air, they're just coming to these beautiful restaurants and these boutiques. You can have stars and everything, and they come over there, and they want to be left alone. They don't want anybody bothering them. But Hanukkah is a time to walk over to somebody and say, excuse me, are you Jewish? Huh? Are you Jewish? And that's where I meet most of my congregation. Because you want to know something? When a person walks over to you with a smile, and they walk over to you and say, excuse me, are you Jewish? You're first taken aback, like, what's in your business? But the guy's smile, or his kid's smile, and they're holding these candles, and they're holding these Hanukkah. Okay, I'll give you $5 for the menorah. No. We're giving it to you. We want you to like it. It's that type of love that people see. But there's one little story I'll tell you. Being in Bel Air, we're able to give away dollars quickly. So what do is I make a little package and I say, this is Hanukkah Geld. I want you to take this and find the place where to put the charity. That is what Hanukkah Geld is. So I walked over to a guy, and if you may recognize his voice from the accent that I'll use, I said, excuse me, are you Jewish? And I knew he wasn't. And he goes like this, no. So I said to him, can I give you a present for Hanukkah? Sure. So I said to him, this is Hanukkah Geld, we give it to everybody. I gave him this $1. And he walks away and he goes, thanks. Then he walks back to me. If you haven't figured out, his name is Sylvester Stallone. And he walks over to me and he says like this, yo, I don't know who to give this dollar to. You're a rabbi. You know where the dollar should go to. True story. So I said to him, excuse me? That's the problem. I want this dollar to burn a hole in your pocket until you found the place. I met him about a year and a half later at the shopping center. And he actually said to me, do you realize I had that in my pocket for 2 months until I found somebody? He smiled because what Chabad does is, it's not me. What the Rebbe has taught us is go over to the person and make him an equal. Make him empowered. Make the person feel that he has a mission to make this world and not to go and just be a superstar. Superstars are great, but they were put in this world just like you and just like me. What are you going to do with it to make this world a better place? So I want to hear from you. What do you like about your neighborhood? What goes in your place? Is it the Shabbos meal? Is it something that you do in an old age home? Is it something that you do for kids? Who wants to go up here? Come on, I want to hear right now. Who has an unbelievable program? Because if you don't, I'm going to point at somebody. You! Yeah, you! Yeah, you! Come on up! You're the next contestant on Chabad. Price is right. Your name?
Bruce.
You scared of the last name?
Montague.
There you go. Where do you go? What Chabad do you go to?
Bayside, Queens.
Bayside, Queens.
Yossi Blasovsky's the rabbi.
Yossi Blusas. Are you a Met fan?
Yes.
Sorry. You remember that night with Mookie Wilson? It won't ever happen again.
86.
Sorry. F close. With that being said, what is one of the most beautiful programs that you love at your Chabad?
I would say it's the Gemara program that the rabbi recently started. The rabbi gives a lecture Monday night, which is inconsistent. It gets anywhere from 5 to 15 people. But that wasn't enough. He emulates the Rebbe, and he does more and more with less and less. Because we live, like you, in a wealthy community, but people don't give. Most of it. And it's unfortunate. So what does the rabbi do? He starts more programs. There's a lecture by Rabbi Jacobson Wednesday night, once a month, and then Thursday night he brought Rabbi Jasinski in to lecture Gemara every week.
He just mentioned something that the other fellow mentioned. Love the Torah study. How many of you go to your Chabad and have a Torah class? Raise your hand, seriously. What is the Torah class that you love the most?
All the GLI courses are very good.
JLI. It makes the rabbi look smart, huh? Take a seat. You did great. Yeah, what? Oh, go, yeah, go. Give us your name. We got a black hat here. He's been converted.
It's a brand new hat.
I listen. Hey, give it up. In a few years from now, he's going to get up there and say, my name is so-and-so, and I'm a Chabadnik.
I'm already a Chabad.
I know, we're all Chabadnik. Go for it. Your name?
My name is Yitzchak Weiner. I'm from Palo Alto, California. My rabbi is Rabbi Yosef Levin. And also his son, Rabbi Zalman Levin, is now associate rabbi in our shul. Like one of the other fellows said, there's so many programs, it's very hard to single any out. I want to mention two things. First, it's a community matter. We have Shabbos dinners, almost like it's like a Shabbaton in a sense, where he invites anybody, everybody in our community, and you get a nice diversity of people coming in. I was sitting here thinking, how do I pick a program? Because we have a shul, and it's it's everything you would imagine for a shul. It teaches Chassidus, and that's wonderful for people who are already into it. But the mission of Chabad, of course, beyond just its internal Yiddishkeit, is to spread the Yiddishkeit. So you have Chabad, and you have sort of the internal essence of it, the Chassidus and Jewish learning and whatnot. Then you have the community outreach, and so it's hard to distinguish. But when you have like a Shabbaton, you merge the two. And
what was the number one Shabbaton that you loved more than any that they had up at in Palo Alto?
Well, The ones that I like the most are the ones that are the simplest. He has a program called Ask the Rabbi. And at any given point in the evening, he'll say, it's called Stump the Rabbi. So everybody can come and ask whatever questions they want. And it comes from all over the gamut of questions any Yid might have. From the most intricate to the most simple. Of course.
How many of you would love to have a Stump the Rabbi in your Chabad? So how many of you have a Stump the Rabbi time to time at your Chabad house? You have one. Just a second. Where are you from?
Flagstaff, Arizona.
Get up to Flagstaff, Arizona! Are you kidding me? T.O., I got to tell you a story about, no, I'm not going to tell you about Flagstaff, but your Chabad house is literally about 5 years old, if that long.
Probably 7, 8 years old.
7, 8 years long?
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah.
So you had to Stump the Rabbi. Tell me one of the, first of all, your name.
Bert Gershader.
Sounds like a guy from Flagstaff, Bert. What kind of work do you do?
I'm a counselor, writer, motivational speaker. I'm kind of like a shliach, but a secular one. although I'm getting less secular.
You're getting less secular?
Yeah.
That's okay. Tell me, what's one of the best things that go on in your Chabad house? I know a lot of people come to your Chabad house because they're traveling to get to the, to find that quarter that original Jew lost down in the canyon.
Down the Grand Canyon,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, they come.
But they come to your Chabad house on vacation.
Many, absolutely, right? They come, they get kosher meals.
What is the number one program that you like at your Chabad house?
Well, I don't know if it's the one I like the most. There's so many. I think somebody else said, how do you decide out of 30 programs which one? But one's very personal to me, and that is that the Rabbi Dovey over here.
Give it up for Rabbi! Come on!
In Flagstaff, Arizona, and he said, "Well, let's do a lunch and learn." And that's we come to lunchtime Tuesdays, and gives us a nice kosher meal, and he discusses some topic. We have a raffle. We get to socialize a little bit, and then we go back to work.
One minute. How many of you get a raffle after a lunch and learn? Huh? You just got yourself a new program, each and every one of you.
What's the raffle?
Well, the raffle is, you can get a bring heaven down to earth, a bottle of wine, whatever it is. You walk away with something that will be part of your life.
Fantastic. Thank you. Go.
I just wanted to say this because this is important for the Balabantim. Annually we have an annual review of what's happening in our Chabad, and he has a program called Partners in Torah, and so it's for those who can reach a certain level of tzedakah to their local Chabad. And it's very important because you acknowledge the people that are giving, and everybody's there, and you can bring a friend too. So you don't know who's giving and who's not giving. It's not, because the idea is to get people involved. But I want to say, just to be acknowledged that you're considered, a partner, a leader, and that you're part of the effort. And it makes you feel like you're working with your rabbi together with his mission. And it sounds silly, but every year it's an annual thing, and it's sort of a reminder that it's not on him. It's on all of us, and he shows you what he's doing. He opens up his books. He shows you exactly what the numbers are, what he's using it for.
We're not talking about that kind of quote, but I do notice one thing. Yeah. Since you got the hat, you're talking like a rabbi. Yes, come on up. Sure, give us your name.
Hi. My name is Mel Kochberg, and I come from Toronto, Canada.
Toronto!
And I daven at Midtown Chabad with Rabbi Nehemiah Deitch, who's just a fabulous man. And on Monday nights we have learning one-on-one with Yeshiva Bochurim. We have a yeshiva in Toronto at Batterson Lawrence. It's a very active yeshiva. And the Yeshiva Bochurim come and learn with us one-on-one. And I had the opportunity, I've been learning with them for about 6 years. Well, the second year in, I was learning with this young man, and it starts right after Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, right after the Yom Tovim. We start, and it's every Monday night. We learn whatever it is that we care to learn one-on-one. So we come to Hanukkah, and it was the Monday night after Hanukkah, and the yeshiva bocher looks up at me and he says, "Where did you have Hanukkah this year?" I says, "Where did I have Hanukkah?" I says, "I had Hanukkah at home." I says, "Where did you have Hanukkah?" So he says, "In New York." I says, no, you don't mean New York, you mean Brooklyn, because I knew he was from Crown Heights. He says, no, not Brooklyn. He says, New York. I says, well, what do you mean New York? New York's a big place. He says, I was in 3 separate penitentiaries in New York. I says, you had the kubbat to bring light to people in the darkness. I says, do you know how lucky you are to have had that kubbat? He didn't quite understand it from that angle, but I think that's the whole treasure that we have with Chabad, is that kind of thing. If it weren't for them reaching out to bring light to people in the dark, who would do it?
Give it up. Now, recently, I'll get to you in a minute. Recently, the Pew Institute, came out with that big article. And each and every one of us were going and feeling good about ourselves because I belong to Chabad. We're doing something about it because they said it. But you notice they didn't mention one word about Chabad there. For you people that are at the Chabad, donors, lay people, how did it make you feel knowing that you're part of the answer? What is some of the answers that you feel that still needs to be addressed to help bring the Jewish people back? You look like a smart guy. Get up to the microphone. What's your name?
Steve Sill.
Go for it. Where you from?
Vacaville, Rabbi Chaim Mentz.
Vacaville. Oh my. Let me.
California.
I know. Let me tell you something. You want to talk Booney, USA? Flagstaff, Vacaville meet each other. We're talking Boonies. I mean, Mountain Dew is literally brewed in your place. You know what Mountain Dew is? Go for it. What do you feel would be one of the answers that the Pew Institute went and said that so many Jewish people are just leaving left and right? What do you think is missing out there that maybe your Chabad is doing or what the world should be doing more of?
We've actually had several conversations about that, both here the weekend and back in Vacaville. And I personally see the Pew review as an opportunity. And I don't see it as a bad thing, because most of the people identified themselves as a Jew in the end. They didn't deny their Jewishness. They might not have been active, but they didn't deny it. So what my rabbi does, he goes out there in the community all the time. He's the face of Judaism in Vacaville. We don't have any other person but him there. He came there and he kind of got us out of the desert and got us going. And I think that's what Chabad does. It becomes an outpost where it's never existed before, the face of Judaism. He's always there with menorah, going to prisons, going to political meetings, knowing, and he knows more people than I do, and I've been living there for a lot longer than
What kind of work do you do?
I'm an ex-teacher. I retired. And,
so you're living on my tax money?
No, I'm living on my retirement money.
Especially in California.
So I think that's what Chabad does, because before I met him, I called myself a wandering Jew. I was affiliated, I grew up Orthodox, but for the last 40 years after that, I was trying to find my place in the world, and met him at the menorah, and called him up and met, and he did what other guys said. He impressed me, and I've been there ever since, and he got me to come here.
First, I want to say to you, 40 years you've been wandering, welcome home. Thank you. The second thing is you said a fantastic line. It's the only person that thinks like a Chabadnik. You went and said, if you read the Pew Institute, they all went and identified as a Jew. They may have gone astray in the way they're doing things, but you think like a Chabadnik. Your rabbi got you going.
I guess so.
You got you going. You want to say something real quick? Yes.
I did. No. It was just a remarkable thing. I've been doing JNet, and
how many of you do JNet? JNet? Does anybody know what JNet is? It's learning over the phone, etc.
Yeah. With a rabbi someplace, you get to learn, and it's amazing. But I offered, because I was coming to New York, so I wanted to meet him. I said and he works at a yeshiva, so I offered because I'm a speaker, I said, I'd like to go back to the yeshiva and talk to the yeshiva boys about what it's like to have a shliach come out to the community. So now they get how much excitement it is. So it was an amazing thing to speak to the young boys and say, it's up to you guys to make it happen, because that's what's going to happen.
You forgot one thing. It is up to those yeshiva boys, but with your dollar. And that's what the beauty is.
Okay, and they asked me for some donations.
Buy him something for Hanukkah. Come on up to the microphone.
Steve Serden from Columbia, South Carolina, a great mecca of Jewish learning and life. As you may have surmised, I am not a Chabad rabbi. The beard needs a little work. But in fact, there's a reason that I began that way. I am a Jew of very modest Jewish credentials. And I think one of the great strengths of Chabad is that it allows even a very ordinary Jew to be included in the process of Chabad in a very important way. I view Chabad as holiness in action. I'm not obviously well along the journey of holiness, but I'm well along the journey of action. And Chabad has enabled me to do that. I'm one of the founding members of the JLI steering committee. And those of you who've been to the annual JLI retreat know that I am the lay chairman of the JLI retreat. And now Rabbi Kotlarski has asked me actually to organize a lay steering board or lay advisory board for all of JLI, not just the retreat. And clearly, it is not on my merit that all of these opportunities have flowed my way. So this is, I think, one of the great strengths of Chabad, that it enables ordinary Jews to do extraordinary things.
I want to correct you on one thing, and believe me, being that you're a steering committee of education, I don't know how much I can actually teach you, but you said just an ordinary. If you know Chabad, no such thing as a Jew being ordinary. That's number one. And I'm sure you've all heard this once in your life. We are the children of Yisrael. Our Rebbe taught us, what is the word Yisrael? 5 letters. Yud, Sin, Resh, Aleph, Lamed. Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Avraham, and Leah. You got the blood of royalty. Consider yourself ordinary. You are a prince. Give it up for this beautiful man. Come on up, Bill. By the way, I'm noticing that the left side is taking up a lot of the floor. Believe me, I like the conservative side too.
Hi, my name is Gil Globowski, and I would like to speak about a bit of a different Chabad house that I'm a bit involved in, and it's in Mumbai, India. Rabbi Kozlowski is here.
Give it up! Give it up!
I'm hearing about so many activities rabbis are doing. I want to tell just an experience I had like a few weeks ago. When I arrived to Mumbai, I'm in diamonds, the ruthless business of diamonds, and I worked there in Mumbai. I came to Rabbi Kozlowski's house and found out from him talking to his Rebbetzin that no chickens, there's no enofot. So after a small discussion, we went to the market and made shchita, like this. In a more very Spartan way, and this is the nature of this Chabad house. How we, this is one experience I wanted to tell about.
That's so beautiful. First of all, I want everybody to remember, and I'm sure you've spoken about it. If not, tonight is the yard site of the Holzbergs. It was during the convention, Rosh Chodesh Kislev, that they were brutally murdered. People on the front lines. They did not come to the convention. They were brutally murdered that year. The second thing is, I really, really want to go and say what's beautiful about your Chabad house, that you can just go and take chickens and feed people. Be thankful PETA does not exist in your neighborhood. Thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you.
Anybody from this side? Yeah, come on up, come on up.
Talked about the Pew Report, we talked about the future of Judaism. Well, in the United States, the problem is our children. And they are all sentenced to prison and sent to Hebrew school, which they hate. And when they're 13, they're liberated, and that has a detrimental effect. My Chabad rabbi, and I'm a new member of the Chabad, even though I've been involved.
Who is your rabbi?
Rabbi Mendy Teldon, who is from Suffolk County, Long Island.
Yeah.
And his father, Tuvia, who I've known since he came to Suffolk County. I don't know what Mendy has done, but he has a secret of success. He runs a religious school for kids, where every kid who goes to religious school has fun and loves religious school. If we can do that with the rest of our children, that would help the Jewish people immeasurably.
Give it up. That's so true. I just want to say one thing. If you notice, the one thing that everybody's having a theme about, just about, is the power of knowledge, the power of education. You get the feeling that many people, they grew up, and you're not getting the knowledge. You weren't being exposed to this stuff. The children aren't being told of this stuff. I got to tell you, in my neighborhood, there's a university. It used to be called the University of Judaism, and now it's called the American Jewish University. It's one of the most premier universities, quote unquote, of the Jewish universities. They make rabbis there for the conservative and reform movement. They've been around for 50 years. Never has an Orthodox rabbi given a course there. And for years I've been pushing and pushing and pushing. And I never would get anywhere. Who needs, what needs, what? There's a lady who wanted to become a rabbi. So she enrolled in their rabbinical course. So somebody went and said, if you really want to be a rabbi, you got to go down the road to a small synagogue. It's called Chabad Lay Leadership, and you got to hear the way this rabbi talks. She walked in and she heard me speak one Shabbos, and she literally waited to the end. She told me her story, and she says, I never heard these words, and I've been studying for years. I never heard such words of a connection between you, God, and everything. So I said, well, get me into AJU, and it'll happen more often. AJU has hundreds of classes, attended by 7-8 people. Well, no, that's how it is. Adult education, you have hundreds of classes, 7-8 people. All of a sudden they put a picture of this. It's the first time it ever happened. A guy like this. It was in their book this year. 9 people signed up. 9 is like for a newbie. Well, my second week I already had 19 people, because after the first week, and my class is a potpourri of Judaism. Next week I had over 30. All of a sudden, the people from the AJU started sitting in the class. What is he teaching? What is it that's making people bring friends and sign up? They so impressed were they that they asked me, could you please talk about Purim and Passover? So they're going to be pumping in their book to get as many people as possible to hear the story of Purim and Pesach. But I said, I don't know if I want to tell the whole story of Purim and Pesach, but I want to know how to get your children involved and you involved in Purim and Pesach. Never ever happened before. You said it. He's a fantastic rabbi, coming from a fantastic dad. But he's not just an enthusiastic kid. You could be an enthusiastic salesperson, but you got to have what to sell. And each and every one of you, I think, was one of the biggest consensus that we're all talking about here is, yes to love, yes to going out, yes to many different programs that can go on in different places. But the thing that captured you most, because we are smart people, you all grew up thinking Judaism was? It's boring because I had my bar. It was more like a bar than the mitzvah. And then that was your death sentence. And then all of a sudden you met this rabbi and he sits down and learns with you something. Wow. At AJU, they're starting to get it. They're starting to get it. I don't know how much longer they're going to let me in there when I get too big. I'll just wait for the keys. But seriously, it's a beautiful place, and things are growing there. There was a few others right before we come to our end. Who else wanted to go and say something? I saw hands. Yeah, come on up. A man on the right side wearing blue.
My name is David Whitebook. I live in Monroe Township, New Jersey, and my rabbi is Eliezer Zaklakowski.
Oh, Zach! Great rabbi.
He was a great rabbi. I don't want to insult half the people here by saying he's the best rabbi, but he's as good as it gets. Okay.
That will cost you another zero.
Okay. It's worth it. Anyway, what I wanted to say about the problem, and I know how this worked for me, when I first came to Chabad about 11 years ago, I was totally uninvolved. And what impressed me about the Chabad was they told me that you're very welcome here, regardless of your level of observance, and that we're not judgmental, and we're not going to tell you what you have to do. There was absolutely no pressure put on me to do anything. It's just, this is what we have. Well, little by little, without any pressure from the rabbi, he's never pressured me, never twisted my arm, I wound up, in no particular order, going to Friday night services, Saturday services. I put on fill-in every appropriate day. And that incidentally had nothing to do, other than his showing his films with the rabbi. I was very impressed by the stories he told us about the Lubavitcher Rebbe, the emphasis he put on that, and I figured if the Rebbe put so much emphasis on it, there must be something to it. And I attend, the doctor mentioned, I've attended the last 3 JLI retreats, and they're great.
They are.
I'm going on the JLI mission to Israel.
I will see you there.
Oh, wonderful. And I get involved in all the programs now. And again, there was never any pressure to do anything. It's just so good you want to do it. You do it because you want to do it. And I think it's sort of the Chabad approach of not being judgmental, not pressuring you, just offering it and letting you see what's available. It works.
Give it up, give it up, give it up. Real quick, how many of you, seriously, were warned by your friends before, when you started telling them, don't go there, they're a cult? Raise your hands. How many were you warned before you came there? Now I ask you a better question. How many of you are happy that you didn't even listen to them? Let me add one thing. One of the things that I have at my Chabad house is that at my Chabad house, people take my wife and I out for dinner, which not like in Vakerville would be kind of difficult. You can take him and his wife out for dinner, but you know what it means? You're paying for the food and you're eating at his house. But what I've also noticed by speaking to other shluchim, there are some people that they take their rabbis and their wives and their children out on trips also. You're not a rabbi relationship, and I'm talking to the rabbis now. Do not think you're just a rabbi to these people. They look up to you, and believe me, they look up to you. But you rabbis better start recognizing you're more than a rabbi. You're their brother, and in some aspects, even your dad. Their dad. They're your family. You have no idea. I'm starting to realize it more and more. People ask this question, why is it by the Federation? People ask this all the time, well, what is it with the rabbi? Every time you go in there, they say, what's with the rabbi? You always bring up your rabbi. What is it about your rabbi? Because they all belong to other temples. And they don't go quote their rabbis like you. And it's not you're quoting your rabbi because he's only brilliant. It's only not only because you're quoting your rabbi because he has an enthusiasm. But the reality is, there's not one of you here that if you had problems to go fly somewhere, who's the first people that you would want to take care of your children? If your wife, your aunt, your uncle is not in town, who's the first thought that would come to your mind? Who will take care of my kinderlach? And you want to know something? That's the relationship that was bonded. No pressure, he's putting on tefillin. But he also found out, I have an extended family. How many of you had bar and bat mitzvahs and weddings? And when you had your bar and bat mitzvahs, and you started thinking, okay, who are we inviting? And how close to the top was the rabbi and all of his 11 teen children? And you know why? It's because the relationship is not, I'm not here to change you. I'm here to make you happy. The Rebbe sent me here to feed you yummy. And who would not want to bond with this kind of a family? You wanted to say something. Come on up. Your name?
My name is Jeffrey Kay.
Hey, Jeffrey.
I'm from Bellevue, Washington. I figured I needed to come up here so that there was at least the guy with the longest hair in the back. I'm from Bellevue, Washington. The rabbi, my friend Shalom Leishevitz, is a terrific individual and a terrific family. You said something in the very beginning that sort of resonated with me, and I've been kind of mulling it over as everybody's been talking. And the question you asked is, how many of us who do programs and things invite our Chabad rabbi and family and so forth to help participate? And it turns out actually I do something like that, so I thought I would share it. I moved to Seattle in 2005, in the Seattle area, and I started the Tri Motorcycle Club of Seattle, which is a Jewish motorcycle club. There's a few of them around here, mostly on the East Coast, which is where I'm originally from. There's one down in Florida that I think a Chabad rabbi is associated with. In the Great Northwest, there's not so many. And over time, we've actually got between 25 and 30 Jewish motorcyclists to go and join us. I met Sholem Leishevitz because he contacted me after reading an article about us in the JT News, and we met, we talked, and the next thing that was happening is that I was inviting him to come out to an event that we sponsor every year, the picnic for this Jewish Family Services Seattle Association for Jews with Disabilities. It just happened to be on the week of Sukkot, and so on Cholcom went Sukkot, a Sunday afternoon, we were having a picnic, and the rabbi came out with a sukkah and a lulav and a netrog, and delighted everybody. Had a wonderful drash, and invited all the participants to come and shake, and it was quite a meaningful experience. And we've done a number of things as a club with him over the last several years. One of the things that I learned in all this is that it just turns out that a lot of the people who join the Tribe Motorcycle Club are not, they identify as Jews, but but many of them would not or have not ever set foot in a synagogue. And a remarkable thing happens when you get Jews together. Judaism emerges, and so if you can find things that can bring them together, like in our case motorcycles, you end up with a lot of Jews together, and they start doing Jewish things. And the next thing you know, some of them are over at Rabbi Leishevitz's house for Pesach and for Shabbos dinner and Sukkot and other times of the year. So it's been a remarkable thing.
This is the first program. Give it up, give it up. This is the first program, seriously, that I ever heard of a rabbi hanging out with the hogs.
Our hogs are kosher.
Now that we broke the ice and you started hearing stories from other people, start sharing some of that stories with everybody. Because like I said, you're not from Washington, you're not from Bakerville, you're not from South Africa. We're all from Crown Heights. We're all in this together. We're all literally going out to teach the world how to love who they are with a happy smile. You're part of my family. I'm part of your family. So we're going to end it off. So you're going to wrap it up. Come on up. First of all, your name.
Vlad and Yuri Berman, this is my father. His English is less good, so I'll translate.
Я из России. В России 100% евреев это Chabad.
He's from Russia, and you mentioned earlier that Chabad, according to the Pew study, has 10% market share in the US. In Russia, it's 100%.
How did he know that if he doesn't speak English?
И мы благодарны Хабаду, потому что еврейства не было ранее как системы, и она появилась только после прихода посланцев Любавичского рэба.
And there was effectively no Judaism in Russia until the Chabadniks arrived. So Russians think of themselves almost as first generation Jews, and Chabad really brought the values and the education, the system to Russia.
В нашей семье богатая традиция. Мой дедушка поддерживал миньян, который был нелегальный еще в России, в Ростове.
And his grandfather, so my great-grandfather, supported an illegal Jewish minyan in Rostov-on-Don back in the day.
И мне повезло, я участвовал в покупке и открытии дома Любавичского, пятого Любавичского рэба в Ростове.
And my father was fortunate to be able to participate in the acquisition and restoration of the home of the fifth Lubavitcher Rebbe in Rostov-on-Don a few years back.
И я первый раз здесь и очень рад быть здесь, быть с вами.
This was his first visit, and he and I are both thrilled to be with you all.
Hold this for a second.
You know, save the best for last. God bless you all. Let's party tonight. Enjoy lunch.